In my small town, there is an older guy on my way home from work who wears the biggest smile and stands on his porch while waving to all the traffic. I always wave back. The sad thing is he lives in a super rough area, and kids and teenagers regularly make fun of him and tease him while shouting slurs at him. He just smiles through all this, and one time I honked at him while waving, and the next day he came up to my car when I was at a stoplight and gave me flowers. I always honk and wave on my way home from work. A few years ago, I was on my way to catch the bus when a middle-aged woman called me from behind a newspaper stand. She pointed to the bus stop, one block down, where a guy was standing holding something. She said he was her son, who just got out of jail after serving time for dealing drugs, and today was his first day trying to make an honest life. He had baked some traditional pastries himself and was trying to sell it on the bus stop. And she wanted to make sure things went right for him on his first day so he would not feel tempted to go back on selling drugs. Then she put some money on my hand, asked me if I could buy some pastry, and obviously not tell him she was there. At the stop, I saw the guy, probably in his mid-30s, with this little table of pastries. I bought 3, we chatted a little bit, and 1 minute later my bus arrived and I left. It always makes me emotional and warm inside to think how pure a mother's love can be. I was sitting in a bar having a beer after work when this guy comes in and orders some shots. After the first couple, he starts low-key crying. A semi-regular old man sitting near him asked what was up. Turns out his girlfriend split up with him and he wasn't taking it well. Old man asks to join him for a drink. New guy agrees. This old man, named Keith, always drank 2 beers, paid, and left. Anyways, they sat there and got absolutely shit-hammered drunk. They tried every liquor in the place and really tied one on. Keith was going on and on about how he hasn't let loose since he was stationed on Okinawa. By this point, new guy has completely forgotten about his ex-girlfriend. They both made each other's evening. Next time I saw Keith, I asked him how the night went. He said he hadn't had a hangover like that since Okinawa. The new guy became a semi-regular and joined our little bar family. He eventually hooked up with a new girl, and I believe they're still seeing each other. Unfortunately he moved, so I haven't seen him in like 6 months. In Austin, Texas, my family and I went to a breakfast place. The food was good, the waiters and waitresses were amazing. But they messed up our order. They were short on staff, apparently. Someone had either quit or got fired, and another person had called out that day, so it was only a few people. And it also happened to be one of the busiest times of the week. So, my mother went to go to the bathroom, and when she came out, she noticed our waitress standing at the corner. She was about to cry, or was already crying. I had been waiting and looking out for her the whole time, so I was able to see this. My mother noticed her high stress levels, and asked if she had wanted a hug. The waitress nodded, and said yeah. My mom opened her arms, and brought the waitress into a hug to comfort her. And once the waitress had calmed down enough, my mother came back to the table after making sure she was all right, and told us what happened. I feel lucky to have my mother in my life. I love her so much. I know someone who worked at a small startup in San Francisco. Apparently the CEO had a flight booked from Oakland to London but was a bit of an airhead and hadn't realized his passport had expired. His flight was in 2 hours. He basically paid for the stupid expensive super fast renewal process, and jetted over to the passport office to have his renewed and issued provisional paperwork in 45 minutes. When he was done, he was still across the bay from Oakland with only an hour and 15 minutes before his flight. BART to the airport from downtown SF is 35 minutes, and he was a 15-minute walk away from the nearest BART station. Would be cutting it too close to get through security with his bags. In traffic on the bridge at rush hour, it can take 2 hours. No way he'd make it. Apparently he called up a nearby motorcycle dealership and said, "I don't know how to ride a motorcycle, but if I leased a motorcycle from you for 2 weeks, and paid you extra, will you drive it to the Oakland airport with me on the back, park it at long-term parking, and take BART back? I have a flight in 75 minutes. The guy said, "Let me call the owner." 10 minutes later the owner called him back and said, "We don't do that. But fuck it. Let's go." He made his flight. I love how the moral of the story is A, when you're rich you can make dumb mistakes and still solve any resulting problem, and B, motorcycles are basically like teleporters in congested areas, and C, when you ask the kind of guy who owns a motorcycle dealership to do something crazy and random and exciting, they're probably down.